The whole thing comes in 3 boxes, which weigh about 150 pounds. The one box has the 3-foot tripod extensions, and then there are 1 of 2 and 2 of 2 boxes that come with the stand itself. Sportsman's Guide is a pretty good company. They have excellent customer service, you know, like a no questions asked return policy, which I really like. They have their own brand, which is called Guide Gear, and as long as you're careful and cherry pick, you can get some pretty good values out of this company. I like it, of course, because it's based right here in Minnesota, and I can go down to their warehouse directly, pick it up, and buy it right there. That really helps for me to see it ahead of time. A small percentage of people often complain on the reviews of Sportsman's Guide, especially for stuff like this, that the instructions are incomplete or the instructions aren't good enough, or it might be missing a bolt. But you know what? All this stuff, everything you see here is made in China. All the big name brand deer stands, everything's made in China. Everything is contracted out now. It's really hard to find anything made in America. And so this stuff is coming out of a factory where the people are being worked to death with incredibly long weeks and a drudgery lifestyle. Anyway, that's my look at that. You know, once in a while a bolt might be missing or something, or the instructions. And, you know, I'm a guy, I don't need instructions anyway, I can figure this out. When you open up the extension pack, that's what you get. Pretty clean, no Chinese bugs. Bag of bolts. Oh, you even get a DVD for hunting strategies. Nice. Hunting strategies, that's what I need. The other 2 boxes look like this. I just separate them out and make sure I got all the parts. I started by hooking up, not tightening down, but hooking up the top tripod. And then I'm just going to work my way down from there. So far so good. This is the stock tripod, which is 13 feet high without the extensions. I didn't think that was quite high enough. I wanted at least 15 feet for a deer stand. So I bought the extensions, which gives me a total of 16 feet. But if I didn't have the extensions, I'd just be putting these feet on, and the project would then go to putting the seat on top of the tripod itself. I want this to be fully adjustable, and I expected that I'd have to mess around with this a little bit to get the way I want it. I'm going to go to Northern Tool right now and just get some toggles that'll go in there, so I don't have to bolt that in. It comes with just bolts to put it where you want it, but that wouldn't do any good in the field. Alright, there's the tripod with the extensions on. And there's the pins I was talking about, in case you didn't get that. Number at Northern Tool is 66055. And now I can take these out easily and adjust them depending upon you know, the terrain, if I want to level the stand out. That's pretty easy to put together, even without the instructions. I mean, even if a guy wears flip-flops, you know, if he took them off for a week or so, I'd say that, you know, probably enough manness would come back that even he'd be able to figure it out. It's nicely built, too, by the way. Now, long-term, my goal for this is for it to be semi-portable. So as this video goes on, I'm going to kind of figure out which bolts I'm going to need to take down to fold this thing up and put it on top of my vehicle in order to take it out to where I'm hunting, and then take it down when I leave. My intentions are not to leave this stand in the field permanently. I have a couple areas that I hunt that I could really use a stand like this in that application. I'm going to tighten everything up now and then put the seat on top. This thing is pretty easy to manipulate and move around, especially the feet are kind of skid-like. So whenever I'm working on any part of it, rather than just climb up to the top like I'm putting on the base seat here, I just lay it on its side and then connect it on the ground rather than trying to go up there on top. Well, I finally had to get out my hammer, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised that I didn't have to take it out sooner. I've gotten used to this kind of precision in machining since we started contracting everything out overseas. And that's what usually happens in a socialistic or communistic government environment for the worker. There's no incentive to do anything right, and you just got to get used to it because it's not going to get any better. There was a time, I'm probably the last generation on the edge of remembering, and I'm not that old, this is how fast this has happened, but there was a time when American machining, they would have rejected this kind of work. But there was a time when American engineering and machining was the best in the world. I mean, we just peaked out. And I think that's one of the reasons why, I always use this as an example, but that's one of the reasons why Americans went to the moon. Some of the fantastic things this country has done, but we are on the backside of that curve. And we're losing all this. We've lost, I'm not losing, we've lost all our manufacturing anyway. So this is as good as it gets these days. Probably the best example ever is the Soviet Union. You know, you want a communist workers' paradise, that's as good as it gets. That's why all the crap that came out of the Soviet Union was crap from day one. There's no incentive to go any further. And unions here in the United States, although started for good reasons, are, you know, as corrupt as the Soviet Union was, and it eventually leads to no incentive either, because the guy next to you basically can't lose his job no matter how crappy he does his work. And once it gets to that point, everybody is at the same level, which is garbage. And the other choice they're giving us is basically we're all going to be contractors working for giant corporations. This is exactly what it came down to in Germany 1930s. You're gonna, you know, you're either a fascist or a communist. You're either going to work for some giant corporation, or you're going to be a communist, socialist, free healthcare, everything's free, but everything's crap. The only real way for a man to live is an individual companies where there's an incentive to do it right. And that's, at one time, that's where this country was. All right, the seat is on. That was really the last step. There's a cage that goes around this thing. I don't know if I'm going to put it on, but I have to say I'm not much of a safety Sally nanny type. You know, that really bothers me in this world today that seems obsessed by safety, because I think safety is a personal thing. It really should be based upon your own common sense, your own physical and mental abilities. Safety is personal. It's not a blanket item that you can limit me with because your abilities are less than mine. So really, safety should be up to you. It's your personal choices. However, I think it's a really bad idea that there's only one bolt, and it's a Chinese bolt on top of that securing the seat to the steer stand. Bad idea! Well, for whatever reason, the one bolt seems to be holding pretty good. And I'm up here. It's a fairly small area. If you're some gigantic fat guy, I really don't recommend this for you. But this, you know, I'm a decent sized guy and I can get up here pretty easy. This is going to be really nice for deer season. I just got to figure out how I'm going to break this down and travel with it. Got a little trap door for making it easy to get in and out of. The ladder seems sturdy enough, even using one hand on the camera.
Oh, that's not safe.
There's a shot of it put together. That's pretty good. And that's without reading the instructions, because I'm man enough. And I've only got this many pieces and bolts and nuts left over. See? When you don't have instructions, you actually save, because you have extra parts left over every time. And there it is with the cage on it. I'm not sure if I'll be using that or not during bow season, but I just thought I'd fit that on there to give you an idea. And lastly, there it is with the blind material attached. I'd have to zip tie a little more to make sure it's not waving around like that, but this gives you a good idea. I'd have to stand up with a bow to make the shot, which could be done pretty easily. And the rifle, you just be able to sit down and actually use the rail to steady you. That looks pretty good. This took me a little over 15 minutes to break down, and that was my first time. I took off 9 small bolts, and then I took it down in half, basically taking the pylons apart in half and then taking the seat structure off. And that really, honestly, took a little over 15 minutes. This is what it'll look like in my ATV trailer going out to the field. The only further modifications that I made on this thing to make it a little better, a little faster, is I added some of these pins on the halfway point so I can easily break it down a little faster. Driving to the hunting area, my ATV goes in here, and these ladder racks hold the ATV trailer, which sits upside down here. the pylons to the tripod will sit alongside of them as well now. The theory to what I'm trying to accomplish here is to have something portable that'll fit any situation and yet be sort of fast. I think this is going to meet that criteria. Part 2 will include, you know, actually the field test where I'll take it out somewhere to hunt with. But the idea behind this is just having something I can quickly take apart, take out to the field, and then quickly put up in any situation. Not trying to find the best tree or the perfect tree. In my experience, it takes a lot longer than 20-30 minutes even to set up a hook-on tree stand or even a lean-to. And I liked, you know, the adventure of just checking out new areas. That's what this is for.